Operation Metro Surge began in Minnesota in December 2025. The Trump administration called it a major success. Thousands of federal officers were deployed, and officials later reported more than 4,000 arrests. The administration said the operation strengthened public safety and immigration enforcement. But two fatal shootings exposed a different problem. The government's public account of events was delivered before the facts were established. On January 7, 2026, ICE agent Jonathan Ross shot and killed Renee Good, a 37-year-old U.S. citizen, in Minneapolis. Homeland Security officials said Ross acted in self-defense and described Good's actions as domestic terrorism. President Trump and senior officials said she had used her vehicle as a weapon against an officer. But video of the encounter did not cleanly support that account. Multiple camera angles showed Good's vehicle moving as Ross fired. An independent analysis raised serious questions about whether the threat described by officials matched what the videos actually showed. AP reported that the footage challenged important elements of the administration's narrative. 17 days later, federal officers shot and killed Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old intensive care nurse and U.S. citizen. Senior administration officials quickly portrayed Preddy as a dangerous aggressor. White House advisor Stephen Miller called him a domestic terrorist and a would-be assassin. Officials said he approached agents with a handgun and violently resisted being disarmed. But the available video showed something different. Preddy was holding a phone before officers tackled him. Video appears to show an agent removing his holstered firearm before the first shots were fired. And a preliminary Customs and Border Protection review did not say that Preddy brandished his weapon. The problem was not simply that officials got details wrong. In both cases, senior administration officials made sweeping factual claims before the investigations were complete. They filled in unknowns with a narrative that portrayed the people who had been killed as dangerous extremists. Later video, eyewitness accounts, and government reviews contradicted important parts of those claims. A federal judge later described the administration's immediate statements about Preddy as reflecting not a genuine effort to learn the truth, but snap judgments informed by speculation and motivated by political partisanship. That matters because these statements did more than describe two shootings. They defended a much larger immigration crackdown. The administration had promised aggressive enforcement and mass deportations, and the official narrative presented resistance to that enforcement as dangerous and illegitimate. The evidence that emerged later complicated that story. Minnesota investigators then faced another problem, getting access to the evidence needed to determine what actually happened. State authorities repeatedly sought federal records, witness information, physical evidence, and body camera footage. Substantial evidence was not turned over until months later. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said Minnesotans deserved a complete, transparent, and independent investigation, and that investigators should follow the facts wherever they led. The impact of Metro Surge also extended beyond the shootings. Across parts of the Twin Cities, residents described empty streets, missed school days, canceled appointments, and shuttered or struggling businesses as families tried to avoid contact with federal agents. Reuters later documented lingering fear, school disruption, missed medical care, and significant economic damage after the operation. Immigration laws can be enforced, but enforcement does not give government officials permission to invent certainty where the facts are not yet known. When officials make accusations before the evidence is in, when later evidence contradicts those accusations, and when independent investigators struggle to obtain the underlying evidence, the issue becomes larger than immigration policy. It becomes a question of truth, government power, and accountability. Strong enforcement requires strong accountability.